Draw stuff with Roger. Hey guys, today I'm going to kind of go over how I made this intro. Just to kind of give you guys an idea of what can be made with this program. I'll just play it again real quick for you guys. Draw stuff with Roger. Alright, so that's just, I'm just going to show you the different layers and levels and what goes on. I'm going to start at the beginning here. So I started with this background, right? And all this is something I made in my library. Now, if you want to work on some of your library items, right, you can select it and you can go down here to edit. So if I go to edit here and I look at the timeline, I basically just have two different pictures. Now, all I really did was made one and just changed the color. That's it. Now you can make as many variations as you want. You can make full-on animations in here and transfer them out as well. I really enjoy using this for backgrounds. And then when you want to get back, you just go to scene 1. And then that takes you back. So basically, this is just the two pictures, and when you put it out on this timeline, it switches just like it did in the library. So you get as many frames as you had before the switch. So this is where it's kind of like Animate, where you have this little kind of sub timeline that you can go into and make your animations and then bring them out into the actual finished product. And I really enjoy this. So then I have my working layer here. And I'm going to show you all these little layers I have on this, right? So I'm going to get rid of this for a minute. Boop, and I'm going to go over here where we can actually see it. So if we look here, I have my sketches. I know you can't see them too well, but they're pretty rough, right? And then I did some sketching with these lines to help me kind of get everything over so I could do this little twist here from side to forwards. Then I did the one angle in good, and then I did this angle, and then the coloring I didn't do until the end when all the animation was done. All right, so I'll take these lines off and I'll leave that where it is. So as I transform it here, so as I go to these movements, I have these different layers where I have erased the arm, and you can see the arm is on its separate. Whoop, the arm is on a separate place here, and the color is separate, so it's just above here, so that I can move these two items, and this arm moves separately. Now I don't have it rigged very good to move because I don't have the pivot point where it needs to be, but for the animation, it's kind of how I like to do things. If I'm going to move an item, I'll copy it and paste it onto its own layer. That way when I move it, you don't get all your lines don't blur out because it's on its own layer. So you're moving it in an animation layer. You're not moving it in like a selected layer. And it makes a huge difference. I don't quite understand why they can't get the pixels to move that slowly within the layer, but it doesn't seem to work. So as you can see here, I just have these different animations or these different parts, and when something's moving like this in between here, you can see I have like two noses, the eyes are all messed up, and I have some movement around the edges, and the star is going towards the middle, right? So we go from this angle to the blur to this angle, and that transition makes it look like something's happening. It's a motion blur, but it's kind of like an older like 80s style motion blur where everything's exaggerated just a little bit. I really enjoy that style. So here you have the smiley face, right? And on that layer is just the smiley face, right? I don't even have it layered. And then I have here the mouth, which is completely different because this mouth I made in my library using this kind of as my template, just a mouth chart from the internet. You can pull any one you want. right? So I'll select it so I can show you how it is here, right? So I have everything labeled at the top, and it goes along. Like if I click that on, it goes along similar to that mouth chart, right? I kind of made it my own because I don't want to straight, you know, I don't want to use somebody else's work as my own, but I did borrow. So thank you to this person. I do not recall who they are, but I appreciate your input in my work. So we'll go out of here now, and I'll show you kind of how that process works. So we'll go back to the scene, right? Oh, and I left that on. So that, see, and that's the thing. If you change something, so if you go into the library, right, you select it, you edit it. Whatever you do in here changes back out on that timeline, right? Oh, that wasn't the right one. Library. That's the one. Oh boy. And I'm making a mess here. So I'm going to delete that again. And I'm gonna go into my library. And you gotta hit this select button first every time, and then go to the edit. And then it'll allow me to edit. And I will get rid of this again just by making it invisible on there. So everything you change in this level gets changed back out on this level, right? And the great thing about these, the awesome thing about this program that I just love is this. I can click on here and I can go down, and because I labeled everything with markers, I can use the markers to select. So if I had different arms on the character or different legs or even different faces, I could switch instantly to whatever, right? So check that out. You can switch to whatever you want. I'll zoom in here, hopefully, so you can see a little bit better. There we go. Select from markers. And check it out. It moves as you do it. And then it goes along the time frame. So when you start out, you're just listening. You can kind of hear it. So you're listening as you go, and you're changing the mouse shapes. And that's pretty cool, and it just speeds up the animation like crazy. Now, if there's any parts of this that you want to see as their own separate thing, leave it in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. All right. So for now, I'm gonna close this out. Boop 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 boop. I got audio here. I got two different audios. One I ended up not going with. The other I ended up going with. Then I have this layer here that is basically, I did it in Procreate, and then I transported it here as a PNG, and it is literally kind of just gives us that nostalgia effect. So you can see here, it just gives us that little paper-like effect. And in here, I have it on in the properties. Right, you can change the opacity, right? So you can make it less or more, and I have it set as an overlay. Now you can set it as whatever you want. I'll show you what it looked like normally. Normally it just looked like that. It just looked dirty. It was just a brush from Procreate that I used, right? But then if you go down to overlay, then it just kind of blends in nicely, and for me it gives it that 80s kind of cartoon morning feel to it. So there we go. Hopefully you guys have a great day, and yeah, let me know in the comments what else you'd like to see.